All right, that explains it. Sorry about that. Damn, my mic was off. Thank you, John, for letting me know. I have to get back into my analysis here. Wow, so we are now looking at the 6-month candles here for Bitcoin. And Bitcoin, right, over the last few years here, you can see that we've been having green candles ever since 2023 on the 6-month candlestick chart pattern here. Okay, we only have maybe one bad year. In this case, some of you remember that 2022 was a bad year, and that's about it. And then we have basically a winning trade for Bitcoin over the last couple of years now, last 3 years. Okay, and we've seen this with previous cycles back in 2017, where we have good green candles here for 6 months, and then we get the exponential explosive move up on one of those years, and then then we calm down a little bit, and then we're able to go back up into the right again, and it's been a winning trade for Bitcoin for the last last almost 15 years now, when Bitcoin first came out. But as I was saying previously, I have to go back and do this analysis one more time. I'm sorry for my TikTok guys, I have to hear it all over again here. But apparently my YouTube guys weren't able to hear because my mic was off on YouTube. But yeah, let me just go back. We're gonna look at the monthly chart here for Bitcoin. We're now looking at the monthly candles here for Bitcoin. Bitcoin currently trading at 107,170. And what I was saying earlier in the live stream while the mic was off is that I still see that Bitcoin could possibly be in a rising wedge here. And rising wedges are a bearish pattern. But the only thing that makes me somewhat cautiously optimistic is that we are entering this rising wedge and an uptrend. Had we been in a bear market and then we created this rising wedge, I would probably call this, a bearish pattern with continuation to the downside here. But Bitcoin is making, a rising wedge, but it could explode to the upside and still continue going to higher prices here. And I do think that we will see $120,000 or $135,000 Bitcoin in the future here, later on in 2025. We got 1 more hour left before the monthly candle closes here. We also got 1 more hour left before the quarterly candle here closes as well for the second quarter of 2025 here. We have just for the second quarter, we're up 29%. We had a bad first quarter in the beginning of 2025 here, down 11%. But then this quarter before that, that was the fourth quarter of 2024, that got people excited and talking about altcoin season. That one was up 47%. So we've done almost as good as we did. We did just as good on this second quarter of 2025, almost as good as what we did here on the fourth quarter of 2024. Could we get something like that? I want to see some follow through where Bitcoin goes up another 30% for the next quarter, the third quarter here. And if it does, let's see what we'll just measure it out here real quick. If Bitcoin goes up another 30% from where it is right now, you're looking at $140,000 Bitcoin sometime in 2025. So I still think that's a possibility. I think that's a realistic number to hold on to here. All right. Let's get into the daily chart here. I want to show you guys here on the daily chart with Bitcoin, the pi cycle indicator. Okay, because the pi cycle indicator is going to help us get a bigger picture view of Bitcoin and where it could possibly go. So let me go ahead and turn that indicator on here for you guys. The pi cycle top indicator. All right. Pi cycle top indicator is these orange and green lines, and this indicator has predicted the top of Bitcoin in previous cycles. Like if I scroll back here to 2021, okay, when the orange line catches up to the green line and actually gets above the green line, that's usually the top of Bitcoin. And we saw that happen in April of 2021. And had you paid attention to that signal, you would have been selling your Bitcoin at $55,000 or $60,000 Bitcoin, and you would have done pretty all right for yourself. Okay, same thing here This pi cycle indicator triggered where the orange line caught up to the green line towards December of 2017, and you would have been selling your Bitcoin at like $17,000 or $19,000 when that happened here. Okay, now why is this relevant to us? Okay, because the orange line is so far away from the green line right now. Okay, here in 2025. If this pi cycle indicator is going to do what it does and predict the top of Bitcoin again, right now, this orange line has to catch up to the green line. The orange line is sitting at $96,000. The green line is now at $170,000. We would have to see Bitcoin exponentially go up to $170,000 right now in order for us to even consider that this could be the top for Bitcoin. Okay? And this pi cycle indicator has been spot on, usually within like the very week that Bitcoin tops out at. Okay? So I don't think Bitcoin's topping out this week, mainly because this pi cycle indicator, the orange line, is so far below the green line right now. We need more explosive price action to the upside just to get us to even consider this being the top of Bitcoin. And if that was to happen like literally today or tomorrow, then we need to see Bitcoin get up to $170,000, which leads me to the belief that by the time this orange line catches up to the green line, and we're going to need to see the price also do this too, where the price is going to go and try to catch up to that green line, we're going to need to see $170,000 Bitcoin at the very least. And by the time it catches up to the green line, that green line is also going to be climbing up as well and raising the bar on us. And I think this could happen like at $200,000 Bitcoin is when we might actually see this orange line catch up to the green line, and then the pi cycle indicator fires off the signal that now's the time to sell Bitcoin, because the orange line will then be above the green line. What up, Joe? See you in the live stream here. I'm glad to see you as well. Glad to see John 316 in here as well. Appreciate it. I just felt like, right now now's a good time, since we're looking at the monthly candle close and looking at the even the quarterly candle close, where we only have like one more hour left before the end of Q2 of 2025 here. I just felt like now would be a good time to also look at the pi cycle indicator and get a big picture view as to like what could be possible here in Bitcoin world. And just going back into the daily chart, where I get this pi cycle indicator. The pi cycle indicator right now, Joe, is saying that Bitcoin needs to go to $170,000, and it needs to do that today in order for this orange line to catch up to that green line, and for us to even be talking about the top of Bitcoin right now. I think Bitcoin is warming up, and we haven't seen the explosive price moves that we've all been waiting for. Because we have seen Bitcoin make explosive price moves in the past, and we just haven't been having that kind of explosive price move. Okay, but if we do, then I would expect this orange line to catch up to the green line and get up to $170,000. By the time it does that, it's probably going to be $200,000 Bitcoin, and then we can start talking about the top of Bitcoin for this cycle. Let me go ahead and get rid of the pi cycle indicator here. The other thing that I've been looking at, Joe, I'll just reiterate this. I know you just joined the live stream right now, but I want you to know what I see. I do see kind of like a rising wedge here on Bitcoin. So that's the only thing that gets me a little bit worried, that we could be, we could be a little bit bearish on Bitcoin because of this rising wedge. And right now, you could say that this rising wedge, right, we're breaking out to the downside of this rising wedge. And if Bitcoin, for some reason, loses its momentum, then we're gonna miss out on that dream of 170,000 or 200,000 Bitcoin. Okay, forget 170 or 200,000 Bitcoin. We might have just seen the tops of Bitcoin already. Okay, so a little bit conflicting. I understand why people are a little bit confused with Bitcoin, not making the explosive moves that it needs to. But if you notice, guys, like let's look at this past week here. We'll go into the weekly candle here for Bitcoin. You know, this past week, we saw Bitcoin go up 7%, right? From last Sunday to yesterday, this past Sunday that we just had, okay? However, most of that move on that weekly candle, and I said this in my live stream earlier, most of that 7% move from last week happened on one day. On last Monday, we saw Bitcoin go up 4.4%, okay? And then after that, we only went up like another 2 or 3% after that. About 2.8% here. And that's tough to trade for us day traders out there, to only trade with an asset that only moves up 2% in 1 week. That's why it was a little bit understandable. But some people were trading the meme coins last week just to get a little bit of oomph, a little bit of extra price action, momentum, and then slap on some leverage, and then you can actually do some day trading with it. But Bitcoin was acting kind of boring for the majority of that past week, and with the lack of volatility that's out there, you would expect that traders are going to start doing higher leverage just to try to make an extra buck or two, especially the ones that do day trading for a living, and they're gonna try to do riskier bets, and they're gonna get stopped out, and they're gonna have you know, their positions get liquidated on them. And that's why we've seen some really funky stuff. If I go into like the 1 hour chart here on Bitcoin, you know, you're seeing moves like this where, you know, we catch some bids here on Sunday morning, Sunday night, you know, going into I'm sorry, Sunday morning or Saturday night going into Sunday morning, and then we end up selling off and going right back to where we started again. And then we get another move like Sunday night that brings us up to higher prices, which is great. It's a higher high than what we did on you know, Sunday morning, but then we end up losing that move all over again because the leverage traders start coming in, they start placing their bets, then their stop losses get hit, and then some of these guys do a round trip to you know, the ones that came in early on the move. Even they end up losing money because we end up going lower than where we started. And that actually happened going into this morning here, where we had, you know, kind of like a nice move up just a little bit here early on Monday morning, only for us to then come down and basically erase all this progress that we made over the weekend, only for us to then get reversed and then come back up again. Okay, this is horrendous. This is like up and down, tweezer top, double top action, and it just shows that day traders are out there just using too much leverage, in my opinion, and they're getting stopped out, and they're getting liquidated as well. And the same thing kind of happening today. Okay, so this is what's a little bit confusing for a lot of traders and investors out there. We are making higher highs here, only to then be making lower lows. So we're kind of almost creating like a megaphone pattern here on the 1 hour chart. Let me just try to draw this out here. You know, we got like something like this going here, okay, where you got like a megaphone. So we make lower lows, only to then make higher highs, then they just come back and make lower lows again. Like it's crazy. It doesn't make sense. But I understand why people are confused, because we don't know, is Bitcoin actually gonna continue and go to higher prices, or is this the top? And are the bears right? And are we gonna start seeing lower prices again here for Bitcoin? All right, let's see what Joe had to say. You just want to be rich, wealthy? Come on, BTC work for you. Yeah, I'm saying the same thing here. You know, it's time to start making some moves to the upside. I actually have a bit of good news I want to share with people. I think we talked about enough about Bitcoin here. I just want to check up on the chat here for my TikTok guys, see what you guys are saying. I see D2 Miami saying, "What up, Damien? What up to you as well? Appreciate you coming to the live stream." Muaz Baker saying, "Can you give us your prediction on BTC dominance?" My prediction, without looking at the chart right now on BTC dominance, is that it's just going to continue going up like it's been doing the last couple of years now. It's a slow grind upward, but maybe we might actually see BTC dominance come down because of the ETFs that are coming out for the altcoins. We're going to be talking about that in the live stream as well here. Alright, yep, so I wanted to share the bit of news about what happened with Solana today, but I guess we'll take a look at Bitcoin dominance because we just got done talking about Bitcoin, so why not look at Bitcoin dominance and see what that's doing. But yeah, let me go ahead and answer that question for you. Appreciate that question. Let me see if I can come up with an answer for you. So, like I said before, without even looking at the chart, I was going to tell you that Bitcoin dominance is probably going to keep climbing up. Like it's been doing the last couple of years now. We're looking at the daily chart here for Bitcoin dominance. And you can see, like, ever since, like, as I zoom out here some more, ever since, like, November of 2022, after the FTX crash here, okay, and people realized that they could lose money in crypto just as fast as they make it, people got back to the basics and they started buying Bitcoin again. Bitcoin was trading at, on the dominance chart, about 40%. And we crept up to 50% in 2023. And then we finally crept up to like 60% in 2024. And it's been up and to the right here on the BTC dominance, okay? But as I start to zoom in here on the BTC dominance, you can see that we've had some red days here for Bitcoin dominance. Looks like the first red day came in on Friday, last Friday. And that might have been when rumors started circulating about a Solana ETF could be approved this week. And that's probably why Solana and some other altcoins like XRP were catching some bids this weekend. And that has caused BTC dominance to come down, okay? Now, I want to see BTC dominance come down a little bit further more, okay? If I turn on the moving averages here, you can see that, you know, back here in May, we saw BTC dominance come down to this 50 moving average, and people were getting excited about altcoins again. And I think that's when Bitcoin actually made its all-time high of like $112,000 Bitcoin. Actually, that was a little bit later on in May, but still, this was kind of like a teaser for an altcoin season. Could we be getting something like that again here as we start getting some altcoin ETF approvals? Possibly. What we really want to see to get you guys excited about an altcoin season is you want something like this back here in November 2024, where the BTC dominance was at like 61% in November. And then going into the last week of November and into December, you saw BTC dominance drop all the way down to like 54% BTC dominance, and it came below this 200-day moving average. Get below the 200-day moving average, and that's usually your signal that you're in altcoin season, okay? You want something like this to let you know that you're in altcoin season. Alright? Because I think a lot of people would agree that, you know, November and December of 2024 felt like an altcoin season. So that's what you're looking for. And right now, that 200-day moving average is sitting at 61.8%. So we got about like maybe 4 more percent to go before you could say, yeah, this feels like an altcoin season to me. All right. But I think the last real altcoin season, that was like back in 2021 when, yeah. Right, this felt like an altcoin season. Do you guys remember when Ethereum was at $1,000 and then it climbed to like $4,000? That was like around like January of 2021 when Ethereum crossed $1,000 for the first time in a long time, and then those other altcoins started catching bids, and then we saw like here in March and April of 2021, We saw, you know, Ethereum go up to like 4,400 bucks, and I can't remember what the other altcoins were doing, but I know they were doing pretty well. And then look, when we actually lost that 200-day moving average and we just continue dropping down on Bitcoin dominance, that was your altcoin season. And I think it was like, yeah, around here, May of 2021, where Ethereum was at 4,400 bucks. Then Bitcoin started dropping, and the altcoins started dropping in price, and we had a bad summer in 2021. Only for us to then see Bitcoin climb back up and the altcoins climb back up. We had a rejection off the 200-day moving average in October of 2021. And yeah, I think in November of 2021, Ethereum was at like 4,800 bucks, about to threaten to go to $5,000. And Solana was at like $260 Solana, and that was a lot back then. And that was your altcoin season. This is what an altcoin season looks like. When you get below that red line, that 200-day moving average on the Bitcoin dominance, and you stay below that red line, that's your altcoin season. That's what everybody's looking for right now. But you haven't had that yet. Okay, you had kind of like little teases here and there. A little tease here and there. Not really. This right now could be the beginning of another tease, but you want to see us viciously destroy that 200-day moving average, stay below that 200-day moving average, and then you got yourself your altcoin season that you've been waiting for. All right, that's enough about BTC dominance and altcoin season. Let's take a look at the good bit of news that could start the altcoin season. This is what's getting me excited here, guys. Okay. The first U.S. staking ETF to launch Wednesday, giving investors exposure to Solana. We finally have a Solana spot ETF, guys, and it's going to be with staking rewards, and it's coming out on Wednesday, 2 days from now. So here, this article from Cointelegraph is saying that Rex Shares is going to be launching the first U.S. stake crypto ETF this week, giving investors direct exposure to Solana with staking rewards. So this is even bigger than the Ethereum ETF, because the Ethereum ETF, you can't even do staking rewards. But this one is going to have staking rewards. And because this Solana ETF is going to have staking rewards, it probably means that we're going to get an Ethereum spot ETF with staking as well. So we should be on the lookout for that. So this is also good news for Ethereum investors out there. And then this also probably means that we're going to see an XRP ETF as well. Okay. But I'll continue reading this article for you guys here. And I'll just continue giving my thoughts about this bit of news here. So they said that the first US state cryptocurrency exchange traded fund will launch on Wednesday, allowing investors to hold Solana and earn yield through staking. 2 days after Cointelegraph reported that the Rex Osprey Solana and staking ETF could launch imminently, the issuer Rex Shares confirmed on Monday, today, that the fund is set to debut. As the name suggests, the Rex Osprey Fund will give investors direct exposure to spot Solana, along with staking income, potentially paving the way for broader institutional adoption of crypto. So there it is. That's I guess that's their Twitter. Rex Shares. They're saying here, coming Wednesday, the first ever staked crypto ETF in the US. You'll have exposure to Solana, and you'll be getting staking rewards. Okay. And this caught some people off guard a little bit, mainly because we already had some other companies like Fidelity and Franklin Templeton and some of the big guys have an application to do a Solana ETF. But I think the reason why this one got approved, from I've read in a different article here, is that they're gonna take the staking rewards and they're gonna tax those rewards before they give it out as a dividend to the investors. So you're gonna get taxed on this, you know, whether you like it or not. But then they're gonna give you the money after they pay the taxes on the dividends or the staking rewards in this case. But this is a little bit of history. They're saying here that the SEC ruled in May that staking does not violate security laws, but they decided to punt this decision on stake ETFs and other altcoin funds. This has extended the Solana price rally. The price of Solana rose after this news came out, climbing 6% to about $158. I actually saw Solana get up to like 160 bucks earlier today, so it was a little bit better than that. It says that despite the rally, Solana remains 46 below its all-time high from January, according to CoinGecko. So, I mean, that's pretty important there. That just goes to show that, you know, this could be the beginning of a Solana rally, because we've seen Solana get up to like $295 earlier this year, and right now Solana is just trading at 157 bucks. This could possibly easily double the price of Solana, in my opinion, because we've already seen Solana up at that price. Eric Balut, I'm not sure how to say his last name, but Eric Balchunas, I believe that's how you say it. He says that get ready for a potential altcoin ETF summer with Solana leading the way this morning, which includes fresh odds for all the spot ETFs. He just updated his odds. Looks like we're going to be getting some more Solana ETFs here from all these other companies. Let me see if I can zoom in on that. Hope you guys are able to see that. But yeah, Grayscale, Bitwise, Franklin Templeton, VanEck. Okay, all these companies want to come out with their own Solana ETF. And I think with this approval that Rex Osprey got, we're going to be getting more companies getting approved, because the SEC doesn't want to be stuck, you know, being a kingmaker. If they're going to let one company do it, they're going to let almost all of them do it. So don't be surprised if you hear later on this week there's going to be some more Solana ETFs showing up here. And then, of course, you're probably going to see an Ethereum ETF with staking rewards, and then you're going to see the XRP ETF. And who knows, maybe even a Dogecoin ETF at this point, you know? Yeah, let's take a look at Solana now. All right, Solana currently trading at $155.74. I got some previous chart work here. Let me go ahead and get rid of the moving averages so it doesn't seem too crazy here. But as I was pointing out earlier in my live stream yesterday, you know, I saw Solana was in a downtrend. Okay, a descending channel is what some traders and investors would call this, as a chart pattern. And I was worried that if we continue in this downtrend, we could get rejected. Yesterday could have been the rejection, and then we would just end up coming right back down to maybe $120, $110 Solana and just staying in this channel. But now, with this bit of news that we got today, we're clearly getting above the downtrend. Okay, and looks like we're now using this as a retest, but I'm expecting some more follow through, and I want to see Solana continue climbing up to higher prices, and we got to get above this last candle wick high here at $168 Solana to justify that we're now creating an uptrend and we're making higher highs, at least on the daily time frame here. And that $168 level is a level that I'm eyeballing because it's also a Fibonacci level here. $168, if I measure from the low that Solana made back at in April at 95 bucks to the high that we made here in May at $187, it gives me that 0.786 retracement, this Fibonacci analysis here, and it says that we could see Solana possibly get a rejection at 168 bucks. And another reason why I'm also eyeballing $168 is because if I turn the moving averages here, this red line, the 200-day moving average, is also sitting at about $167. So 167, 168 could be temporary resistance, you know, for Solana later on this week if we do see it at that price. Don't be surprised if Solana gets rejected or just stays at $168 before it continues, you know, going to higher prices. It might want to chill out at that area for a little bit. All right. But yeah, that's my upside analysis on Solana. Downside, you know, hopefully we don't see more downside on Solana, but if investors could care less about this ETF news and they start turning this into a sell the news event here, then yeah, we might fall back into this descending wedge, this descending channel here. And we might see $130 or $120 Solana all over again. Okay? But I doubt that, because these ETFs, now that they're getting approved, they're gonna have to start buying Solana. And once their once their investors start pouring more money into the fund, that forces them to have to continue buying more Solana. So, and they're gonna have to do that by going to these cryptocurrency exchanges and bidding up the prices on these assets in order to get them into the ETFs here. So I can't see why this would go down, in my opinion. But anything's possible when it comes to the markets here. That's why we have to look at the downside and the upside. But I feel like there's more upside than there is downside, especially with that bit of news about Solana getting an ETF. Okay. All right. Let's see. I think I'm ready to start taking some requests and questions, some Q&A here. Let me know if you guys have a particular crypto you want me to take a look at. I can also look at stocks as well. I know the stock market was doing pretty well earlier today, and we had some trading going on, and we can look at stocks as well. This is the Meet Damien channel, not the Crypto Damien channel, but I do like talking about crypto because it's like the funnest thing to talk about. Very interesting, very fascinating stuff here. But I also can talk about stocks as well if you have a request. All right. Eric Balchunas. Yeah, I think that's how you say it, Eric Balchunas. I know he's always on like Bloomberg TV, and I just need to pay attention next time they mention his name. All right. Looks like I have a request for GRT from D2 Miami. Okay, we'll take a look at that. Let's take a look at GRT. The graph. GRT currently trading at 8 cents, down 3.64% today. And I got the moving averages here, and I'm just zooming out to see where this thing's been. As I believe most other cryptos, this thing has seen better days here in December of 2024 when we had, our last altcoin season, if you want to call it that. And it had even better March of 2024 where we saw this thing trading as high as like 49 cents. So wow, this thing has almost like an 80% drop in price from its best days in 2024 here. Now, looking at the graph, right? I want to see higher lows. I want to see higher highs to show that we're canceling out this downtrend and actually starting an uptrend here. Looks like we bottomed out in April, like most of the assets. We created a higher high here, but that was it. After that higher high in May 13th here, we had a lower high here on May 23rd, and that's very interesting because that was right around when Bitcoin was at $112,000. So that's not good to see, okay? And then here you made another lower high, and could this be a possible another lower high? I don't know. But what I also see, which is going to be confusing as well, I see a double bottom. I see a bottom here on April 7th at like 6 cents, 6.5 cents. And then I see another bottom here at a little bit under 7 pennies, 0.0693 pennies on June 22nd. You know, what I do with double bottoms here, if this is a bottom here and this is the second bottom, you just measure between the two bottoms here to the top and between the two bottoms, which would be right here. Gives you your measure move, and then you just take this measure move, you put on top of the top and between the two bottoms, and it says that you know, if the double bottom plays out, this thing should get up to like 19 cents. That should be your price target. I'm not sure why 19 cents sticks out, but it's saying that it could do that. Looks like 19 cents was an area that this asset was trading at back in January of 2025. So maybe you might have some people here who want to click the sell button on you when it gets back to where they bought it at in January. But you have a lot of work to do before you even get up to 19 cents. First, you got to get past these moving averages here. And right now, the 50-day moving average is probably the one that I want to see this thing get above right now. And that's sitting at about 9 cents. So just, you're not too far off from it. But, you know, try to get above that and use it as support rather than resistance. And then we can start talking about being more bullish on this asset. Then, of course, you got the 100-day, which could act as resistance at 10 cents. And then you got the 200-day moving average sitting at 13 cents. Now, 13 cents, that's probably going to be an area. You know, the 200-day moving average is definitely going to be an area that other traders and investors around the world are going to be clicking the sell button on you. Because they're eyeballing that as like their, you know, if they got to pick a target, at least use the 200-day moving average as your target initially. So maybe this could be take profit target number 2, and this could be take profit target number 1 on the 100-day. And if you do get up to 13 cents, you're almost doubling your value here in graph. I want to go ahead and quickly do a Fibonacci analysis here and see what the fibs have to say here. And it looks like yeah, what do we topped out here at 13 cents. Yeah. So I would say you're gonna have to climb through the fib levels as well. The 0.236 level at 8 cents, which is where you're currently at. All right. This is just the bare minimum. Okay. If I was the game plan to get into a long here on graph, I would probably put the stop loss right below the double bottom here at maybe 6.5 cents. Maybe is where I put that stop loss. And you're gonna try to see if you can ride this puppy. And it's just, you know, a matter of when do you want to take profit. Do you want to take profit when this thing gets up to 9 cents, which is where the 50-day moving average and the 0.382 has some confluence? Or do you want to wait a little bit longer in the trade and wait until we get to 10 cents, which is where the 0.5 retracement is at and the 100-day moving average is at? Or do you want to stay a little bit longer in the trade and take it like a swing trader, see if you can push this thing up to the 200-day moving average? Now, this 200-day moving average is currently sitting at 13 cents, but by the time the price climbs up to where the 200-day moving average is descending down to, it looks like it might actually get right to that 0.786 retracement at 11 cents, 12 cents. And then maybe that is your second or third take profit target. Okay. But if this thing continues climbing higher, just looking at the Fibonacci analysis here, the fib extension levels does have a 1618 at 17 cents, which is kind of similar to this double top that we already came out with, saying that this thing could possibly get up to 19 cents. So you got a 1618 saying 17 cents, and you got the measured move from the double bottom saying 19 cents. So that could be, you know, your long-term take profit target. But I wouldn't be holding my breath waiting for this thing to get back to, you know, what it was doing here in end of 2024. There's no guarantee that you're going to see these prices here at like 34 cents. I don't want to be a negative Nelly, negative Nancy, or whatever you want to call it. Okay. But I think realistically, if you can get up to like 17 cents or even 19 cents, you're doing pretty all right. And you got yourself an easy double if it does that. Okay. And then if you want to push the trade a little bit further, if you want to leave a little bit there for your moon bags, then yeah, maybe this thing does come up to the 3618 on the fib extension, and that would be confluent with some of the tops here back in 2024, where we did see this thing at like, you know, 30 cents. Okay. So yeah, that's my analysis there on GRT. I'm glad you appreciate the analysis there, D2 Miami. All right. Crypto Larkin is asking, whatever happened to the bull run? The bull run in what? It seems like Bitcoin's doing all right. What kind of bull run are you referring to? I can show you a bull run right now. Take a look at Bitcoin dominance. That thing is up and to the right. That looks like a bull run to me. Yeah, look at Bitcoin dominance. That's a bull run. You're gonna have to be a little bit more specific. What kind of bull run are we talking about? Are you talking about bull run in stocks, bull run in altcoins, bull run in Solana? Like what kind of bull run are we talking about? Yeah, I mean that's what it is. It's usually the Bitcoin show until it's not. Okay, and right now it's the Bitcoin show. It was the same way back in 2020 going into 2021. You know, we saw Bitcoin go to its previous all-time high of $19,000 around December of 2020, and then we saw Bitcoin go to like 29, almost $30,000 before the New Year's in 2020. I remember that because I was talking to my friends about that going into the beginning of 2021. And Ethereum was, I think, like $800, $900. Let's just look at like Ethereum, which was one of the popular altcoins at the time. And it still is a popular altcoin, right? But like, you know, people are like, oh, when altcoin season? Oh, when bull run? Well, Bitcoin has to lead the way first, and then the altcoins follow. And look here, in December of 2020, Ethereum was at like $500, $600. When Bitcoin was at like $25,000. Okay? And then it wasn't until like January of 2021, right after New Year's, that we saw Ethereum catch some bids here. Right? Where Ethereum, it hit $1,000 for the first time in a long time in January 3rd. Now, it wasn't the first time. Ethereum did hit $1,400 back in like 2017, but it didn't stay up there for too long. But this was like the first time that it got up to $1,000 and actually stayed above $1,000. And then we saw Ethereum catch those bids in like January and February of 2021. And then we saw like Ethereum get up to like almost $2,000 in February of 2021. Then it got knocked down, and then it kept going and catching some bids here. And then we saw Ethereum go into like $3,000 and then $4,000 in May of 2021. Okay, so we need to see something like that for Ethereum. But you know, with the amount of money, it takes a lot of money now to move the needles on these high market cap altcoins and cryptos. Like Ethereum and XRP already have billions of dollars in them. It's going to take a lot of money to move into them and get the needle moving on them. But yeah, I mean, you know, they're just looking at Ethereum in 2024. We caught some bids here. But yeah, I get it. Like, you know, like Ethereum was at like $4 grand, $3 grand, $4 grand in 2024, the end of 2024. And then we had that vicious downdraft in the last 3-4 months here. Now you're asking me when bull run? I think we might begin the beginning of the bull run this summer and the altcoins with these ETFs. I just talked about the Solana ETF already. That is coming out this week on Wednesday. Okay, so that's gonna pour money into Solana. But with this bit of good news, and they're gonna do staking rewards with the Solana, that means they're gonna have to now say yes to Ethereum and doing staking rewards with Ethereum on an ETF. So this is actually good news for Ethereum as well as Solana. And then this is also good news for XRP, because now XRP could probably get an ETF as well, because Solana's getting one. So like they can't say no after they just said yes to one of them. Okay, so we might be getting that bull run this summer. I think Eric Balchunas said that we could be getting an altcoin season this summer, and I believe I'm right there with him on that. But yeah, let's take a look at Ethereum since we're into it right now. Let me get rid of this Fibonacci analysis here. Right now, we need to see Ethereum get above the 200-day moving average, this red line here, sitting at 25.37. We almost got up there today. We saw Ethereum at 25.24 on Coinbase Exchange. But we need to actually get above this 200-day moving average and stay above it. Because look, we got above it before here on June 10th. And then we came down, and then, you know, war broke out in the Middle East, and then it really sent us down. Okay, so we had an opportunity to get above that 200-day moving average. We just gotta stay above it, and now the red line has come down. That 200-day moving average has come down, so the bar has been lowered. So it should be a little bit easier to get over it, and then we just gotta stay above it. So that's when we'll start to become more bullish on Ethereum, and that could happen, you know, later on this week. Could even happen tonight or tomorrow. But we're like literally right there, and you know, with you guys complaining about, you know, when bull run, when altcoin season, and getting discouraged, it lets me know that we're actually getting closer and closer. With more people complaining about it, it means that we're getting that much closer to it. Because who else is going to be there to buy these altcoins from you? It's going to be the people who don't really have that much faith and conviction like you have had, and that I have had. Okay, we've already been sold on the idea of altcoins. But once these ETFs come in and they start pumping money into these altcoins, then people are going to see the price action, and that's going to be basically the sales pitch and the marketing team for these altcoins. Is higher prices is going to get people excited again. All right, and I think we'll start seeing that going into later on the last half of 2025 here. Okay, so I think the bull run is loading. It's loading up, and it might actually be starting this week. Actually, you thought everything was gonna go crazy after the halving? It kind of did. I mean, last year felt pretty good, pretty crazy to me. So many people were talking about meme coins and AI coins and stuff like that. I thought it was crazy. I thought it would continue being crazy, but I don't want to get all too political, but a certain somebody in the White House decided to slap tariffs on every single country in the world, and that sucked a lot of money out of the investment space, and it took the wind out of the sails for crypto as well. Because like if you're losing money in the stock market, you're gonna lose even more money in crypto. Okay, so why even be in crypto when you got like these countries that are worried about tariffs? So yeah, I think once the threat of tariffs is no longer an issue, then you'll see more money go into the stock market, which will then pour more money into crypto as well. And we're about to get some resolution on the tariffs next week, actually. July 9th is what I know to be the deadline. You know, Trump said on April 9th that they would do a 90-day pause, and we're coming up on that. July 9th is the deadline. They're either going to get trade deals, or from what I've heard, Trump is probably going to do a 25% tariff on countries that didn't actually do a trade deal with us. So that's going to be the number that everybody's going to have to live with. And he can also, you know, do another 90-day pause. But that's like kicking the can down the road. I think we're actually going to get that resolution. And then once we get that resolution and we know like what the tariffs are going to be, that's going to eliminate uncertainty out of the market. And the market does not like uncertainty. So once we get rid of the uncertainty, you'll start seeing your bull run and your altcoin seasons all over again. Joe says he's waiting for his Uber driver, pizza delivery guy to start talking about crypto. Then we all know that's the time to sell. That's usually one indication. But, you know, Joe, I feel like a lot of Uber drivers and pizza delivery guys that were already in crypto. They already know about crypto. You're just waiting for them to start talking about it again. I think a really good top signal that I didn't pay attention to last cycle. I had a cousin of mine who thought Bitcoin was stupid. He was working at a bank. He was an accountant at a bank, and he thought Bitcoin was stupid, and anybody get involved in it was stupid. And then when Bitcoin went up to like $60,000 in 2021, and people were talking about Bitcoin going to like $100,000. And then when Bitcoin got up to like $65,000, $69,000, that's when he said, "Hey, Damien, what's this Bitcoin thing? Like, how do you get involved? Like, how do you actually buy your Bitcoin?" And I told him about, Coinbase Exchange and all that. But that was literally the time to sell, because that was when one of these haters started to become a believer. That's the best time to sell, when the haters become believers. So I'm not really waiting for my Uber driver to start talking about Bitcoin and crypto, because at this point I feel like they all been involved, and they've all been burned as well, and they probably don't want to talk about it. But I'm waiting for someone who actually hates Bitcoin to start talking about Bitcoin, and then I know that's a good time to sell. Or somebody that thinks it's stupid to actually think it's actually worthwhile. Harry Potheads asked me, "You want to learn how to get into this? How much money do you put into it?" Harry, you only put money into investing, and this is not investment advice. I just want to give that disclaimer out there, but you only put whatever you're willing to lose, okay? And when I first got started, I actually talked to my financial advisor about crypto, and he knew a little bit about crypto at the time. This was like back in 2017, and I mean, he told me, "Look, Damon, crypto is very volatile and very risky. It's like buying penny stocks and stuff like that." And I was like, "Yeah, I get it." And he said, "Well, as long as you're willing to lose half of what you put into it at any given moment, and not actually panic and not actually click the sell button, then that's how much you should put into it. Because if you put too much of it, too much money into a crypto, and you lose half of it, and you click that sell button at the wrong time, you're gonna be mad when you see the price go back up again, and you sold like near the bottom, and you sold like a lot near the bottom. You don't want to do that. So whatever you're willing to put into it, just know that you could lose half." And you got to be able to have the iron stomach. And I know some people are like, "Oh yeah, I got the iron stomach, I got diamond hands, this and that." But you're not going to know what diamond hands feels like until you actually lose like 70-80% on your old coin. Then you're really going to know what it feels like to be sweating bullets and hoping and praying that the thing goes back up again. And then you're going to have to like just wait. You just have to wait. And unfortunately, some of these cryptos are not actually going to go back up. So some of these people have actually lost a good amount of money. So just be mindful of that. And even with the best coin, Bitcoin, you could still lose. Like, we lost 30% on Bitcoin the last in February and March of this year. So if you can't handle a 30% drop in Bitcoin, then you're not going to be able to handle a 50, 60, or 80% drop in like Solana or Ethereum or any of these other altcoins. Like, it's just not for you, and you shouldn't be putting that much money. You want to have money that you could lose half of it and still go to sleep and still not press the sell button until it goes back up and goes higher than what you bought it at. And then you can click the sell button. That's how you actually make money. But it's hard. It's not easy. So I don't know what the answer is for you. I can't give you personal financial advice because I'm not your personal financial advisor. Somebody who is certified to give financial advice and knows your personal situation can actually tell you how much money you should be putting into it. I can't tell you that though. I can only tell you what I did and what I've been told. Right? Put enough in that you could care less if you lose it, and if you lose half of it temporarily, just don't panic and just wait it out. All right, D2 Miami wants me to look at Brett. We'll take a look at Brett. Appreciate that request. Oh, Max wants me to look at Honey. Okay, I actually just got out of Honey myself. That one seems like it's a good short rather than a long right now. It's tough though, but we'll look at Brett first and then we'll look at Honey. Appreciate the request. And then I think that's going to be it for today because I do have to get going. I wasn't trying to do too long of a live stream here. But guys, don't forget to hit the like button, especially if I'm going over your altcoins here. And you appreciate the analysis. Don't forget to hit that like button. Alright, so we're looking at Brett now. Let's see, Brett. On Mexi, sure. Alright, so now we're looking at Brett currently trading at 4 cents. Down 4.76% today. And this is what I mean with some of these altcoins, especially these meme coins. Like Brett was flying high back in December when this thing was at like 21, 22 cents. But like, look at it now, it's at 4 cents. So anybody who bought Brett back in December, they're down like 70, 80% on their investment in this meme coin. Okay. Now you could try making it back by buying at these lower prices here. Now that it's at 4 cents. Looks like Brett bottomed out here towards the beginning of April. We saw this thing as low as like 2 cents, 3 cents. And then right here on May 10th, we saw Brett get as high as about 9 cents. But you can see this 200-day moving average, this red line is acting as resistance. And now we're creating lower highs and lower lows. Because look, we thought this was like the higher low here on May 6th. And then we came back and revisited here on June 6th, but then we actually made a lower low on June 22nd. So this is why some people are confused, like, are we bullish or bearish? Are we bullish or bearish? Well, what I can do here is I can connect the highs that I see right now, the candle with, actually I'll probably do it like this. Get rid of the moving averages for now. And then I'll try to connect the lows here. This could be a falling wedge on Brett, and falling wedges, they usually break out to the upside the majority of the time. And I mean, it looks like it's trying to break out right now. It's not doing an explosive move to the upside, but it's just going sideways right now, and that's still a way to break out of the falling wedge. But I don't know. I mean, you could try to maybe use trend analysis here and just create a flagpole here, and this would be your bull pennant here, and then take this analysis, and if you do what you did in the previous bull rally that you have here, then it says that we could see Brett come up to 11 cents here, that blue number right there. If you want to treat this as like a bull pennant or a bull flag. I like using Fibonacci analysis though. Measuring from here down to the swing low back in April. If Brett does start climbing up to higher levels here, I would at least expect it to at least get up to the golden pocket. Maybe it gets rejected at the golden pocket, but the golden pocket is sitting at like 6.5 cents, almost 7 cents here. If it's going to continue being more bullish, then maybe it gets up to the 0.786 retracement at almost 8 cents, 0.078 pennies here. And if we're able to capture and get up to higher highs than what we did here on May 10th, where we saw this thing at like 9 cents, then maybe you can get a 1618, and you might see Brett come up to like 13.5 cents. But yeah, that's my analysis on Brett. You can obviously game plan this out where you put the stop loss right below the candlewick low here. Stop loss below 3 cents. I would say 3 cents would be where I put my stop loss. If this thing comes down to 3 cents, then there's something wrong. It's probably gonna do a little fake out, come right back into the falling wedge, and you're just gonna have to take a look at this chart again. If you really want to try to play it again, maybe try buying in again at like 2 cents. But I would put the stop loss at 3 cents, so you're not really risking too much here. You're only risking about 25% on your stop loss. But you're hoping to risk 25% to probably get like a triple or a double on this crypto in the short term near future here. All right, I see Rich is in the chat. Good to see you, Rich. Good to see you, Rich. Appreciate you coming into your live stream here. Don't forget to hit the like button if you haven't already. Actually, we've had a good amount of likes so far. But yeah, if you haven't, appreciate the extra like there. Bob Sins thinks that we're gonna go back to 92K and have a boring summer. I don't know, Bob, if we're gonna have a boring summer, because did you hear the news that came out today? We're getting a Solana ETF on Wednesday. So I don't know how boring that could be, because if Solana's going to get an ETF, then that means XRP is probably going to get one. And Solana's doing an ETF with staking rewards. That probably means Ethereum is going to get a ETF with staking rewards as well. So I doubt we're going to have a boring summer. We might come down to 92K, but I'm not sure if we're going to stay down there for too long on Bitcoin. So I would have to disagree with you on that one. Especially you got a Bloomberg analyst, an analyst on Bloomberg, Eric Balchunas, is saying that we could be getting an altcoin season this summer because of all the ETFs that looks like they're about to come out in July. I don't know, Bob. I think you might want to revisit that one. But who knows? Who knows? You could be right. D2 Miami, can we save that request for another time here? I've been live for about an hour, and I have another request here for Honey, which I see you guys asked me about DOT and XYO. No, Rich, I think I actually did send you a friend request here, but yeah, you gotta watch out. There's somebody out there that is trying to impersonate me. But I was trying to send you a friend request and try to get you to join my Discord. Let me see if I can put out that link here on YouTube so you can join the Discord here. But I do have a Meet Damien Discord here, guys. For my TikTok guys, you just have to you're gonna have to message me, follow me, and message me, and then I'll send the link to you guys here. But let me go ahead and send this link out, and so you can come join the Meet Damien Discord. Okay. And then yeah, I gotta go here, and then I'll put that in. Boom, boom. So that's the link right there to join the Meet Damien Discord. I just put that up on the YouTube channel. All right, awesome. Thank you, John 316. I got a new friend. All right, and it's good to go on the Meet Damien Discord, because you'll see when I go live. If you're wondering when I go live, I usually post up the link there on the Discord. I also have a Meet Damien Twitter, where I also post up the links as when I'm going live here. But yeah, that's my Meet Damien. Obviously, I gotta build up my following there, but I do have that, and you guys can message me on Twitter. If for some reason something happens with TikTok or YouTube, you guys can still stay in touch with me. All right, let's take a look at Honey, and then I'll see if I can squeeze out one more. We'll take a look at Polkadot. All right. Yeah, I mean, Brett looks like it wants to start the breakout, but yeah, I don't really see it making a exponential move out of it. But we're on breakout watch with Brett. We gotta see some more upside price action on it though. All right, so now we're looking at the Hive Mapper Honey, currently trading at 0.0189 pennies. We're on the daily time frame on this thing, and this thing has been a losing trade that I decided to get. I got into it like a month ago or 2 months ago, and I decided to get out of it last week, and then I got rid of my last position today, to be honest. But like this thing, I mean, great short, right? What a great short. Okay, it's just down and to the right, down and to the right. You caught some bids here, and during the altcoin season in December of 2024, and then down and to the right one more time. And this thing is now making lower lows than what it did back in 2024. Every time you start catching some bids here, there's some anxious seller out there that wants to get out. And you got like candle wicks, candle wick highs, some scam wicks, or just a lot of sellers just selling this thing. So I thought I was gonna try to catch the bottom because I thought I saw a little bit of let me just get rid of some stuff here. I'll just get rid of that. I'll get rid of that one too. But on the RSI, like I thought I saw like the beginnings of bullish divergence, and that's one of the reasons why I decided to get into this thing, because we were catching some bids here. Like at the time, this was like, oh, this thing is making higher lows on the RSI. And then here, you were making lower lows on the price. So you had like what could have been interpreted as bullish divergence. And then even like right here, oh, here's the bottom. And then here's the double bottom. So then maybe this is this asset is bottoming out and trying to cast some bids here. But the problem is every time you started going up, you got violently pushed right back down. Look at that scam wick here. Another scam wick here. Okay. Another scam wick here. And now you're actually lower than where this double bottom was at. Okay. So, I had a stop loss. I got stopped out earlier this month, and then I got rid of the last of my honey today, and this thing is down 5.5% today. So I don't know. This thing has to go to lower prices again in order for people to get interested in it, but it's tough. So I don't want to stick around and find out how much lower it's going to go. And I don't see bullish divergence anymore, because now you're making lower lows on the RSI. Like your last lower low was here on Saturday. You saw an RSI of like 24. And then you're also making lower lows on the price, so like there's no bullish divergence. There's no one's showing up to buy this asset right now. Yep. So this thing has to go a little bit further down, in my opinion, but I don't want to stick around for that. That's my analysis on honey. And then if I click on the moving averages here, it's below all of its moving averages here. Every time it gets up to the 50-day moving average, or at least in the last few months here, the 50-day moving average is where people are selling this asset. So right now the 50-day moving average is at 0.0276 pennies. If this thing gets up to that area, it's probably going to get rejected again. So that's the story on Hive Mapper Honey, unfortunately. I would stay away from it for now. And then I'll try to do DOT here, and then we'll see if I can do XYO. And then that's it. That's it. I gotta go. So let's take a look at the DOT USD. DOT currently trading at $3.41, down 3.4% today. Obviously, this thing has seen better days. Like a lot of altcoins during the altcoin season of November and December of 2024, and then that's it. And it's been lower highs and lower lows. And even more frustrating is that, you know, you would have thought April, after Donald Trump, you know, did the 90-day pause on tariffs, you would have thought that would have been the bottom for DOT, but we actually came right below the lows here in April. And your last lowest low is at $3.02 on Sunday, June 22nd here. And this is what the trend line looks like so far. You got your downtrend right there. So I'm going to get rid of the moving averages. You got to get past this downtrend that you're in right now on DOT. You could try going sideways. That's one way to get out of it. Or you could just create higher highs and do an explosive price move to the upside. But you got to get past this downtrend that you're in on DOT in order for you to be bullish. But if you do get past that downtrend, then you got the moving averages that are going to act as resistance. You got the 50-day at $4.08 and the 100-day at $4.28. I would say most traders are probably looking at that, and they're probably going to put their sell orders in between this area right here. And then, of course, the 200-day moving average at $4.96. Looking at the RSI, I don't see bullish divergence yet. So you don't got that going for you. Not yet. MACD, there's been selling pressure, obviously, all throughout the month of May and June here. But you are getting a little bit of hope here with some green candles on the MACD. You need more of this, more buying pressure. Get this price up. Show us that you can do something here, and then we can get excited about being in polka dot. But yeah, this is another disappointing chart. Not as disappointing as honey, but it's right up there. Okay. And then XYO. We're looking at XYO currently trading at 0.00896 pennies, down 4.27% today. Got some previous chart work here. I'm going to get rid of that for now. Yeah, you can see I've looked at this crypto before a few times in past live streams here. It's almost the same story with Polkadot. Like, this thing had a very awesome performance here in December of 2024. And then that's been it. You know, it's been lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows. April, 90-day pause on tariffs actually did something. But then after that, you know, just slowly bleeding off and dying off again. I think at the very least you got to get above at least one of these moving averages. The 21 EMA should be an easy one to get above. Get above that white one at 9.009 pennies, and then you have to get above the 50-day at a penny here. And you got a lot of work that needs to be done. But if you want to start counting higher highs and higher lows, you got to get above this Kennewick high here at 0.012 pennies. And then you can say that you're actually making a higher high again. Right now, you're just making lower highs. Is there any bullish divergence to make us feel a little bit better about this thing? I mean, kind of. If this is going to be a higher low, then you could say, oh, okay, possibly higher low. But you gotta start getting some bids in here, and you gotta start going to higher prices right now. Because if this thing comes down, that's going to invalidate this uptrend on the RSI, and you're not going to have a higher low on the RSI. But yeah, right now, obviously, you can tell just by eyeballing it that you made lower lows on price, and then you got a possible higher low here on the RSI. This is the only thing that would make me feel somewhat good about XYO is that there could be bullish divergence showing up. And then here on the MACD, selling pressure dying down. You got some green candles showing up. You got a MACD flip to the upside here. You need more green candles. You need more buying pressure. Show us that you're not dead and slowly dying and bleeding off here. And then we can start becoming more bullish on this asset. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Right? Start making a higher high, and then you can focus on making higher lows, and then another higher high, and then you got yourself an uptrend on XYO. But right now, it's not looking good, and then I would just keep my stop loss tight, you know, right below the candlewick low here at like 0.008 pennies. Because if you can't hold 800 on XYO, then you're probably gonna go down to lower prices, and you probably don't want to stick around for that. Alright, let's see. Bitcoin. What is Bitcoin doing? We'll finish off on Bitcoin. I'll go into the 5-minute chart, see what Bitcoin's doing on the 5-minute chart. Whew, I gotta zoom in here. Alright. So Bitcoin was doing things earlier today, but it got rejected off of this 200 moving average. So anytime you're below the 200 moving average on a 5-minute time frame, I usually have to be bearish. I have to be bearish on my bias, and yeah, I'm gonna be bearish on Bitcoin because Bitcoin is not doing what it needs to do to flip the 200-day moving average and actually use that as support instead of resistance. Right now it's using it as resistance, so I can't be bullish on Bitcoin right now. Yeah, but you know, with Bitcoin going down or going sideways, maybe that might give these altcoins a chance to actually cast some bids here. But Solana has some good news, and even Solana actually had some pretty decent news for an ETF in the United States, a spot ETF, and that did something here, you know, this late this morning. Solana caught some bids, but now Solana is like selling off and consolidating, and if Solana can't do it, then I can't expect these other altcoins to be doing it, because Solana's the one that got the good news this week, and it's struggling right now. So I hate to end off on such a bad note, guys, but that's just what's going on right now on the smaller time frames. I'm on the 15-minute time frame for Solana. I mean, she's comfortably above the 200 moving average on the 15-minute time frame, so we'll see. Could this just be a bull flag and then we go up to higher prices again? I don't know. But I do like the fact that if I zoom out to the 1-hour time frame here, we have gotten out of this downtrend that Solana's been in. So, but if Solana's supposedly going to be leading the altcoins to the promised land by being one of the first ones to get an ETF besides Ethereum, then it needs to do better than this. It needs to be better than this. So, I don't know. Maybe my buddy that was calling for Bitcoin to go to $92,000, maybe he might be right, and we might see that this summer. Still flip of the coin. We got to see better price action than this. Yeah. Maybe it's because the ETF hasn't actually stopped buying Solana yet. We'll see. We'll see. You know, once those ETFs start buying Solana, what it actually does to the price of Solana and these other ETFs as well. But yeah, looks like retail is not taking advantage of this news either. I bought some Solana today after I saw that news. I took advantage of it. Maybe, I don't know. We need some more people like myself buying Solana. But yeah, that's going to be it for this live stream, guys. Very tricky, very interesting. Let's see, for the week, Bitcoin it's down for the week so far. Not a good start for the week for Bitcoin. We need to do better than this. All right, guys, be on the lookout for my next live stream. I usually go live if it's not late in the afternoon, early evening, then I'm usually going live early in the afternoon. Depends on how my day goes. But yeah, be on the lookout for my next live stream. And until then, good luck trading and investing in whatever asset you decide to get you guys decide to get yourselves involved in here. Take care.